So, g'day my friends. Today, or this evening, I'm making a video, because I haven't made one in a very long time. I'm probably not going to be seen on most of the video today, but it is what it is. I haven't made many videos lately. I've just been ridiculously flat out. Been doing big days, working, driving ridiculous amount of kilometers to and from work through ridiculous traffic, and I've got a lot going on in my life. I'm having conversations with people about what's going on in the world, and especially in this place here, you know. For all you guys in the States and wherever else in the world you may be, I am down here on the east coast, Brisbane, in the state of Queensland, and this area here is where I roam around. So this is my backyard, and it's getting quite critical. Okay, so I've been going to all these protests, as you would know. I'm talking to lots of people who are also concerned Aussies. Okay, I'm starting to follow a new guy who's an ex-Special Forces commander. Seems like he's got his head glued on, and he's on track. You know, he knows what's up. A lot of us know what's up. The majority are still totally asleep, can't see anything coming at all. But a lot of us have been watching the headlights get closer and closer for quite a long time. They're crashing this place. The wankers that have got the voting system rigged and are destroying this place, because they're certainly not running it. They're running it into the ground. That's what they're doing. That's where they are, down here. So hopefully if we ever do have confrontation with China, please just take this place off the map, because you'll be doing us a favour, unless we can get those scum out of here. So we're coming up with we're trying to come up with a plan of how to remove these grubs from destroying this place. We know that the voting system is 100% rigged, just like everywhere else in the world. It's quite shocking when you start to get to see, when you're starting to understand how deep the treachery is, how long it's been going on for, and we don't know the exact where they're trying to take us, but they are 100% destroying this place, you know. And unfortunately, the majority of the sheep just can't see it coming. Anyway, I believe I'm thinking of jumping into the next election and running as an independent. Okay, not thinking that I'm going to win, but over here we have this rigged system to keep the two-party system in place, and that's using preferential voting, and most people don't understand it. I don't understand it completely, but that means not only do you get to pick your number one corrupt party, but then you can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, as many, and there's heaps of them, and you can choose in what list or what order that you'd prefer them to come in. So, and they have done this, and they do backroom deals. There's lots of money under the table and pats on the back and property development and all sorts of, you know, probably kids and stuff like that involved. And they've all got each other's backs, these grubs down here, to stitch this place up. So my thoughts are, if I become if I throw my hat into the ring in my local area where I've lived for 38 years, I played footy here, I went to school here. We had the Tongan Samoan Wars. I've punched on with heaps of people that tried to wreck my little hometown back in the day. I've stood up to a lot of people. I'd be an extremist to some people, a good bloke to others, and probably an alarmist, conspiracy theorist to a lot of the sheep out there. So I certainly know that there's no chance that I'd be ever winning. But my goal isn't to win. My goal is to get, maybe, if I get anything from 8 to 18 to 30 or 50 votes, which potentially could be doable. I'm after the donkey vote, I'm after the angry vote, I'm after the guy who doesn't want to even vote because it's compulsory voting here. You'll be fined if you don't vote. So I'm hoping that I don't intend on spending a lot of money. I'm just going to do it from calling the others out for being grubs. Not promising anything, but just telling people what I'd love to see, how I'd love to see my country go, and letting them know that in this preferential voting scam that we have, my plan is all of the votes that I get, I can then direct those votes or preferences to where I want them to go. If I was to get involved in the party that I'm following, the Ricardo Bosi, the Australian one, the ex-SAS soldier, to get involved in a proper party to try and compete, he's holding the bar really high. He wants working with children checks and all that. I'll pass that, no drama. But he's going to hold the standard very, very high. And any damage to the smallest little bit of damage that the media can find, they would love to pin me to him, or anything bad I say, they'd love to put on his party. So the best way that I could help his party without actually being attached to his party is running as an independent, getting my own votes, and then allocating my votes to him, or to another party in my electorate, that another independent and another constitutionalist party that potentially could win. So this is my strategy. Instead of me just going and voting myself and just putting my one vote in, if I can get 18, 30, 50 votes, who knows, could even get more, then I can put those 18, 30 or 50 or more into his party. So that's my strategy behind this, and that's what I'm thinking. Okay, that's probably the best I can do. Maybe try and make some videos and keep heading out to these protests, talking to more people, because at these protests most people are just concerned about mandatory vaccines. Oops, there's that word. I might have to delete that. Most people are concerned about the big fart in the arm and the mandatory lockdowns, and how in a couple of days' time they're going to stop people if you haven't been double. The people are going to be losing their jobs. You're not going to be allowed to go into into restaurants and shops and movies and sporting arenas, and more than 3/4 of the places where I don't go anyway. But that's beside the point. It's dividing the nation. It's pitting workmate versus workmate, friend versus friend, family members versus family members, and it's destroying the soul of this nation that's already nearly destroyed. So while there's a movement going on, I want to capitalize on that. And when we go to these places, let everybody know that it's not all about the and let them know about our Constitution, how our constitution was stolen away from us, and everything that they're doing down in this place here called Canberra, in Parliament House, is illegal. Our constitution was illegally stolen. We were meant to vote through referendum whether we wanted to get rid of it, change it, and make amendments, but we weren't consulted. They just did it behind closed doors, and ever since 1973, they've been making up rule after rule after rule after rule, destroying manufacturing, destroying our military, wasting money left, right and centre, privatising everything across the board. They've made sure that we've lost so many jobs. They've taxed the absolute hell out of us. They sold off all of our assets that the Commonwealth of Australia owned, that the Commonwealth is the people. They took away our rights. They took away our right of self-defence. They took away our militias. They took away our freedom of firearm ownership and self-defence. There's just so many grubby things. They took us off the gold standard, put us onto the petrodollar. That's had its day now. That's just about dead. They're going to sink this economy, and they're going to, I don't know, I'm predicting they're going to take us to a digital currency, and who bloody knows what else. I don't want to go and make predictions, okay? We'll just leave it there. But everybody has their own opinion. I could be totally, absolutely wrong and just a mental retard. But anyway, these are my thoughts. So I want to try and step up and do my little bit to try and fight back, you know. All I've ever wanted to do from a very young age is join the army and fight for my country. And I signed up 3 times, got rejected each time. Tried to join the Rural Fire Brigade, got knocked back from there. Tried to join the SES, that's a state emergency service. So if there's floods, bushfires, you know, etc., etc., people missing, you go looking for them, etc. Fix houses that are damaged by storms. So they didn't want us either. So I've got to do something else. I've still got that fire. I've got the fire that's raging inside me that I need to fight. I need to prove myself somehow. So I'm going to get involved in this. And we want to fight for, we don't want to just get a new Prime Minister. We want our Constitution back. We want to take all of the laws back to previous 1973. So we go back to 1973 because it was never voted by the people by referendum. So that means all of those laws are still current. We've just got illegal occupiers illegally occupying the parliament, the state parliaments, the police force and defence force. They're all in on it together. There must be lots of money and handshakes and pats on the back going around. Sexual favours probably as well. So we need to get ourselves back to pre-1973. Capital punishment comes back. Ricardo Bozzi, he keeps talking about it. He's said it many, many times on many different media platforms. So as far as I'm concerned, I can mention it. We need to hang these bastards. They need to be tried for treason. They're treacherous, corrupt, filthy scum. And an example should be made. You sell out this country, you destroy the manufacturing, you destroy the jobs, you destroy everything, and you sell out all the... When the farmers are... In one of the massive droughts that we had, the farmers were borrowing money to try and keep their livestock going, to keep the farms maintained, you know, hoping for rain in the next 2 years or so, and that dragged on for over 10 years. Then we went into 2 years of floods, and then straight back into drought. So a lot of farmers lost everything. The banks took back their land, and allegedly, the story goes, the banks weren't even the ones lending the money, and they didn't take them back. CCP, the Chinese government, was lending the money to the farmers. The banks were acting as middlemen, and then the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they ended up taking over all of those farms that forfeited on their loans, and they got so much of this land along all of these river systems here. That's why I've got the video on the map, because we're talking about water in the driest continent on Earth. And allegedly that's what happened. So the grubs down in Canberra, the banks, the military, everybody involved, they allowed this, they sold it out. So we've got to do something. We've got to get 1 million people or more in the streets, and we have to take over, because just like you guys have got in the Second Amendment, we've also got the same, basically exactly the same thing. It's just not called the Second Amendment. We have the right to, it's not only bear arms, we have the right to be armed equally to those who enforce, those who police us, and those that, it's in the Bill of Rights. In the passage there, it states that a Protestant, I don't know the exact quote, but it starts off with a Protestant man or whatever should be equally armed, you know, to stand up to tyranny, basically, and take over a tyrannical government. It's very similar to the American Second Amendment. So we have that as well, and it's expected of us to do that, mind you. So our forefathers, or our founding fathers, they had all of these things in place. We do have the right of self-defense. We do have the right. It's expected of us to stand up and take back our nation. So the constitutionalists all know it. Now with social media, we're starting to talk amongst ourselves. It's just hard, very, very hard to get the sheep, the dumbed down sheep with their noses in the trough, too lazy to open their eyes. It's hard to get them to come around. But because of the and going to all these rallies and protests, we get to talk to them. They're angry, and we're helping them with their cause. And then as they start to open their eyes to what sort of treachery is going on in Canberra here, their eyes are slowly going to open to everything else. So the plan is hang everyone here, hang all of the politicians from everywhere, and the military, the leaders of the military, for purposely destroying our defence force. This whole landmass here, okay, which is nearly the size of America. You could, if you overlay the map of America on here, it's so bloody close, apart from Alaska. We have, would you believe it, 65,000 defence personnel, Army, Navy, Air Force, to look after this whole thing, you know. And they keep buying hundreds of billions. Over the last few decades, they've spent hundreds of billions of dollars on shit that's no good, that'll never work, and by the time we get it, it's outdated. And they keep doing it over and over and over and over again. It can't be by accident. It just absolutely can't be. You can't stuff up that many times over and over and over again, you know. So something's got to be done. The people have got to get out in the streets. We outnumber. Once we got millions, once we got 1 million, we don't need everybody. We just need enough. And we just need to concentrate our forces in the right places. We hit them where they're weak, just as the same as they do us. So all the organisers and all the people who are at the sharp end of the spear, they come and raid us in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, with overwhelming odds, armed to the teeth, and they come and drag us away. So we got to do the same sort of tactics with them. So we run them around. We get them to it's a game of chess, just like any sort of fight, any game of football, soccer, whatever. We got to run them around, get them to look over here, and then we attack here. So we want to keep this non-violent, obviously. We don't want foreign troops here. We don't want to burn down any infrastructure or anything like that. We don't want Aussies getting killed, except for politicians and grubs, you know, the scum. Okay, so anyway, this is why I haven't made many videos, because I've been at meetings and I've been talking to people, and we got to build an army of the people that's willing to stand up, sacrifice a lot to try and take our country back. So, okay guys, that's where I'm at, and I'm going to have more, I'm going to put out more videos about random craziness in my brain. Could be craziness, I might be an absolute nutter, tinfoil hat wearer, or maybe I'm somewhere near on point. So anyway, we'll just see what the future holds. See you guys.